the need to be important, to be loved, can be fulfilled. Yes, no state institution may love and create a relationship, an environment in which the person is special, because it may be special only for other people, not for the institution in which there are workers, social workers only, but it's a job for them.
This is Common Sense Generation. Common Sense Generation. Hi guys, you're watching Common Sense Generation. My name is Kądzielska-Koper, and we talk today about political philosophy and the role of home and women in state. With me is Professor Agnieszka Nogal, a political philosopher at Warsaw University. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for inviting me here. I'm happy that I can speak with you.
Professor, we look at women and we look at home, and very often it is put into the private sphere as something not political. But in fact, homes are not politically indifferent environments. The upbringing of the citizen starts at home and the very role of a woman. How does it look like from a more political perspective?
Of course, homes are extremely important, and we cannot look at public sphere without taking homes into account. And especially in the process of education, of bringing up children, we can show it by comparison of philosophy of Plato and Aristotle and their vision of education. And as you know, Plato is seeing education as a process of, we can say, meritocracy. Yes, so we can take children, and then during the process of education, we are finding out their strong sides, their abilities, their intellectual abilities, and then, you know, we are moving forward, and some children which are not so capable we are losing them because they are not capable of higher education. And so at the top we have philosophers. This is the vision of Plato, and to be honest, our system of education is organized in that type, yes, that we have primary school, secondary school, and higher education. And of course, each level of education is a kind of examining for children, and those who are more intelligent, more capable are going up.
And it is not as, let's say, utopian as in Plato form, when Plato wants to strip parents of their children and push the upbringing of children into the role of only of the state. Mm-hmm. So yes, this is of course the scary part of that. Everyone is raising everyone. No one knows whose child, which in a sense is absolutely like absurd. But and also those who more intelligence, go up without others actually protesting against it in any form. We see it looks like, first of all, like a total utopia. Secondly, like form of totalitarianism, which
and we can take it as an example of education without homes. Yes, this model, and our schools are organized partly, at least partly, in accordance to that model. And the other side of education, of paideia, of Greek paideia, shows us the Aristotle. Because Aristotle take homes as a general, most important place of education. Why? Because for him, every child is individual. This is the most important, that it is individual. And we have individuals with different characters. We can have a scary child or too bravery child. Yes.
Robust.
Yeah, too robust. And of course, upbringing of each of those character will be different. So we cannot create a monopolized model of education, because model of education should be organized around concrete individual. And this is extremely important for Aristotle, that person can be educated by people who personally know he or she. In Greek, ancient Greek, it was male, of course, education generally. But it is individualized. And that's why it has to start at home and has to be provided by professors or tutors who are concrete persons knowing the concrete pupil, and it's an individual relation. And
so it's not machinery, and
yeah,
every child will fulfill the same way of upbringing. But isn't that monopolizing it to the obligation of a state with the public schools, with the same curriculum all over the country? Doesn't a little bit go this direction, that every child should follow the same curriculum to some extent, and then these differences, they happen to be only at the levels like of A levels, so matura, and later of higher education?
Yes, but at the same time, those examples of Plato and Aristotle shows us, burdens of state education and lacks of state education. And usually nobody is educated only by schools, but of course people are educated generally at home. And let me give you one, in my opinion, funny example. Let's say a guy age 12, a little bit overweight, yeah? And in state educational system, it's a little bit senseless to play games for him, yes? Because we can't see any chance for big success, yes? So he should be left aside, because nothing will happen.
No medals will be won.
Yeah, no Olympics
for
successes, and so on. And from the perspective of individual, for him especially, those games are extremely important. Yes, so these are two sides of the same coin. We need people capable and good on meritocratic level, but at the same time, each of us and each child should be and want to be treated as individual, as someone special who needs special treatment. And of course also a wide range of educational experience, not only in games, not only in maths, but also in different situation in life, and state cannot fulfill that role.
And then come parents who of course know their child the best and also want the best for them, let's say in majority of course, but can also give this time for a child for bringing him to let's say special classes, additional classes, or just play with him for fun, and then he can or she can become better. But looking again from perspective of a state, it is of the parents' opinions very often, and parents' way of looking at the politics which shape the mind of children. So if we have a very left-wing house, at least with a start we have left-wing opinions. if we have a very conservative house, we start with a very conservative opinions, and then of course it changes in time. Either we want to be rebellious against, but the fundament comes from the family, at least I guess so.
Yeah, and it shows once again the importance of family life and homes, because school can learn maths, can learn specific subjects, but not an attitude to life. Yes, and that attitude to life shaping is a kind of shaping emotions, so to say, because we can speak about rationality, practical rationality, but when we are talking about grown-up people, yes, elderly, wytnie się. Jak jest dojrzały? Mature. When we are speaking about mature people, but when we are looking at children, they are acting, their actions are based on emotions. And those emotions are shaped by their parents, by their important people. And, you know, those are our roots. We can do something about it, but until our late days, we will live with those emotions which were shaped by our parents. Sometimes they create advantage for the person who is well bring up, and sometimes it's a burden. But homes definitely are extremely important for each person, and of course each person is also a citizen. A question of involvement, for instance, political involvement, of activity, of need for action, political action, is also shaped by our closest friends, people who are around us. If they are passive, we also, you know, are going toward the passiveness. But if they are active, we have to ask ourselves a question if it's a good direction. Maybe it's wrong, but it creates a different type of climate, different type of emotional environment. And of course, what is drove us to actions are emotions. So homes are a school of citizenship, and without strong homes, we cannot speak about strong citizen with, you know, not only ability, because we have formal ability to act, but also a will to act and ability, practical ability to act. Yes, so strong intellect, wide knowledge, because each action has consequences in different spheres. So person who wants to be politically involved should knows not only, I don't know, information needed to
be successful at work.
At work, yes, in a specific, very narrow area. In contrary, such a person needs wide range of knowledge and different spheres. Another example, you know, the case of pandemia. Of course, you can have expertise of medicine. You can have expertise of psychologist. But such situation creates consequences in economy, in psychology, in education, in well-being of children, of women, and even in level of consuming of alcohol. So each decision has very wide consequences. So person who want to be involved need that kind of knowledge, and it's also not a knowledge created by that pure hierarchical model of education.
This is Common Sense Generation. If you like this channel, please subscribe, share and comment. Your voice really matters.
So the most basic cell for political community is in fact family, and those families should be supported by the government in order to create healthy society and healthy citizens, rather than let's say endangered or make it difficult for family to flourish or to practice freedom in a certain extent. But what I want to say through it is the fact that a subsidiarity rule shows that we should come to the lowest levels of the government to resolve certain problems. And the lower level where we in a state can resolve problems is family. So it is parents who usually see the problem in the child as first, and they want to resolve it even earlier and before than the school, than the state, hospital, judiciary system. And if they are strong enough, if there is a strong and capable and protected, let's say, middle class, which is a reflection of a stable society, then lots of problems which could become public, they stay in the sphere of the family. But if the families are destroyed, so those problems who were originally private and could be stopped at the later private level become public spheres. And then we have the youth violence, then we have riots, then we have pickpockets, and then we have to resolve them on the level of prisons, youth prisons, and all of those institutions, which, as we know, are much less effective than a family could be because they lack of love.
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course, but we have to add that sometimes also families doesn't work properly. Yeah, so it's not a happy place for everyone. It can be sometimes a hell for child and for women. So, but nevertheless, there are no other place which some of those important needs, like the need to be important, to be loved, can be fulfilled. Yes, no state institution may love and create a relationship, an environment in which the person is special, because it may be special only for other people, not for the institution in which there are workers, social workers only, but it's a job for them, you know. And it also shows that the division and the difference between state ability to act and family ability to act, because state can act only on a level of professional involvement, and sometimes it's needed, because we can probably, you also know families which are very harsh and not well organized, and you know, it isn't a happy place for everyone, and of course it's obvious. So we need also a state involvement sometimes to help people not to be treated with violence, for instance. But at the same time, it's better to help those families, those homes. And you know, I prefer to speak about homes, not even families, because it's important to create a sphere which person and child is treated individually, as someone special, as someone important. And it can be a grandpa or grandma, it can be an aunt, it can be even a friend, but you know, everyone wants to be special for someone at least, yes? And that environment can be created only at home. Of course, I know that not each home works properly, but when state helps those homes to create a peaceful environment, a warm environment, open for development of each individual, those individuals really can evolve and can develop all of possibilities and fight with some weaknesses and so on. So yes, in my opinion, you are right, but at the same time, we have to remember that sometimes there are also awful homes.
Oh, well, I fully agree that even when we look at the rate of violence for newborn children or very young children in European countries is still very high, and it's still not avoided even with all the mechanisms which we have already, such as monitoring families or monitoring young mothers after giving birth. But it still happens, and very young and children still are killed in families. But on the other hand, as the homes and adoption shows, that in a foster family, when those small orphanage or home orphanages, even despite the violence in biological families, in most cases, children still want to come back to their biological family and have some relation, because this bond is so deep and so profound that the biggest violence doesn't make it disappear. But when we look, I could risk from this conversation the statement that we don't have a healthy state without healthy families.
Mm-hmm. Yes, or healthy homes, because yes, because in case of adopted children, we have rather home that family in biological sense of genetic bonds. But of course, we have bonds, and so I prefer to use the term family, not the family, but rather home. But once again, especially important are virtues, and for not only for Plato but more for Aristotle, the major virtue, political virtue, was being brave. Yes, to be politically involved, you need bravery, and to be brave, you need safety at home. Only safe places can bring up brave adults, yes, because you need the safety place, people who protect you when you are small and helpless. You need help from others, you need protection from others, and when you got that protection, you can grow up and be more and more reliable, strong, brave adult,
and be involved in public sphere.
Yeah.
So public sphere is created from safe and healthy families.
Yeah, definitely.
Because there are no individual citizens. Funny thing, but very often, looking from a political perspective, we see citizens as individuals, if they come from, to vote, but as not connected and not in relations. But it all starts in families, and then we create the public sphere as a part of society. But if we strip us from families, then we don't have public sphere at all.
Maybe it's a major problem with liberalism. Because we are living in liberal societies, we are thinking in liberal terms, our institutions are based on liberal presumptions. And the weakest side of liberalism is, its attitude toward education and children, because for liberals, people are already grown up, rational, and without bones, oriented toward individual interest. But, and a general philosophical tool of liberal thinking is
Social contract.
Yes, social contract. And you know, even contemporary thinkers like John Rawls, for instance, are using theory of social contract. And when we are thinking about social contract, we are taking individuals, deprived from every concrete circumstances, because they should be as universal as we can imagine that they are, and then they are establishing contract between them on rational ground generally. This is on John Rawls, it's a veil of ignorance, yes? So we are hiding behind a veil of ignorance everything what differs us from different people, other people. And now we can ask what kind of result, political result, we will achieve by that tool. And of course, children education is completely invisible from that perspective, because we have only adults, we have only rational adults, well-educated adults who can rationally count advantages and disadvantages of the political order. And those individuals were raised in homes. And liberalism doesn't see it and doesn't recognize it at all. It's difficult and funny for me when you are looking how John Rawls, we may say contemporary political thinker, late 20th century, and when he is writing about education, he has really problem, because it's a question of state. But why? Yeah, it should be organized around parents' will, because parents are responsible for upbringing of their child. But at the same time, it's a question of the state. It creates some conflicts between will of parents and structure of a state. And he is trying to deal with it, speaking about political culture, for instance, and trying to build something in between. But he doesn't have tools, intellectual tools, because liberalism is maybe good theory. I don't know. I don't like it especially, as you know, but it's not suited to describe the educational system, bringing up, creating fulfilled individual. It's a loss. It's an empty place in liberalism.
And it's an important empty place where society comes from, because it comes from families. But we put a point here and we just give you an example and a vision for you, the viewers of Common Sense Generation. Could you imagine toddlers signing up the social contract? It sounds crazy, but we all were children, and the whole society, the future of the society is based on future generation, and they will always be children. They needed to be somewhere put in the social contract. This was Professor Agnieszka Nogal on Common Sense Generation. Thank you for watching our video podcast, and I also thank Polish National Foundation for making this show possible.
This is Common Sense Generation.